Leave all the small change, give me big money. Give me dollar. Only dollar. I'm moving my body when I sing. You got to teach me, Mr. Tree, how to get that swing. Put a cent piece in your left pocket, 5 cents in your right, 10 cents in your back pocket. Take the outside side, in front, under your bed, stick a dollar. Now count if you want to learn. I explain to her. Cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar, cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar. Come again, cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar. 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar. She says she don't like the pace, we going too slow. She wants to walk up she waist, so raise the tempo. Cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar, cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar, cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar, cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar. When I thought she had enough and she can't take the grind, she all forget the small change, give me big money wine. Dollar, 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 dollar. All night in the party, she said to me, all the time you're moving your body, sweet and sexy. I hear that your hip movement is really called a wine. I don't mess with alcohol, but that wine is fine. I love the way you sing, throwing waves like rain. Right now, I want to learn, so show me again. Dollar, cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar. Looking good. Cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar. Yes. Cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar. She says she don't like the pace, we going too slow. Like she want me rock up my waist and raise the tempo. Cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, dollar. 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 When I thought I'm showing off and she can't stand the grind, she all leave out the small change, give me big money, wine, wine. Dollar, 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 dollar. Give me dollar, 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 give me dollar.
Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing this morning? We have a few people well in the chat already and signed on, so we are going to start promptly. We know you all got up early this morning and you are foregoing your Saturday cartoons and all of that. So on behalf of PSCU Credit Union, welcome to managing your finances when you are self-employed. For those of you who have been in it for a while, you know how tough it is. Entrepreneurship is a cool thing, it's seen as a cool thing, but what often isn't spoken about are the challenges that go along with it. So this morning, Rachel and I, along with Karen from PSCU, we're going to be talking to you about some of the things you need to think about and go through. Before we kick things off, I want to run through the house rules with you all. So some of you all in here, you've been with us already, and you know that if you want to chat, you go into the chat. So if you'll click on the bar at the bottom of your screen, you will see the chat bar. You can click in there, you can ask questions, you can chat, you can comment. If there's a big question that you want to ask, you can go into the Q&A and go down in there and you will see the ability to ask the question. We have an admin in the background who is going to assist us. So if it is that you need help with something or you're having a problem or you got logged off for the session, you can just reach out to the admin, send them a message in the chat, and they will help you out. So this morning we're talking about managing your finances. It's the fourth webinar in the series that PSCU has been hosting, and it's the last one. So we really want to thank you all for joining us again. We have with us Rachel Rennie. Rachel is one of the co-founders at Market Movers. Rachel, what's your website? It's dmarketmovers.com or marketmovers.com?
D as in David, not dog. I used to say dog. So now I say David. That's my business partner.
Yeah. So she is the co-founder at Market Movers. And Rachel and they have been in this business for about 11 years.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
about that.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
let me show you all her co-founder, David. So this is David and Rachel.
Yeah.
And it's basically, you can buy your markets and groceries and so on online. So you go on there, it works like Amazon. You put your bananas, you put your pumpkin, you put whatever it is, and you put that in there and it gets delivered to you. You can get same day, next day, or within the next 3 to 5 days. So these are just some images, and in front of them here, you'll see some packaged goods. They also do frozen passion fruit, pawpaw, mango, and that kind of thing. And this is just, some of the things that they do here in terms of Monday to Saturday, you get delivery. They take a day off on Sunday to rest. And this is Rachel and David. I think it was 2016. Rachel, yes, Rachel. I went and I pulled that one.
I look like a little girl, but yes, 2016.
Back in 2016 when they won the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. Right? So Rachel, they have been working really hard at what they do. For those of y'all who wanted to see what I do when it's not COVID time, this is when we would have been able to physically sit together. So before COVID, this webinar would have been a physical workshop and we could all laugh, high five, that kind of thing. So this is just to give you all a sense of what we do. This is in Bahamas when I was doing social media training across there, right? So this is just to give you all an idea of, what we do. And so you get a sense of where we're coming from when we start talking about, what it is we do and the experiences that we've had. Like Rachel, I've been on my own about 11 years. And Rachel has a bigger operation. So I think it's great. And that's why I invited her to join this conversation, because with her operation, Rachel, you have staff and everything.
Yeah. We have about 15 staff now. So
yeah.
Recently we had a staff meeting and we didn't even have enough chairs, and that's when we realized, wait, we need to, act like a bigger business. So things like that. It was really exciting.
Yeah. And but for me, I am the boss and I am the employee. So I just have one person to talk to when the day comes. So I talk to myself a lot. So with Rachel and I, what we're going to be going through with you all, we have some key areas to focus on with you all. So we're going to be talking financial self-care first off, because one of the things that we're very much against is the whole idea of the starving entrepreneur. Everybody talks about entrepreneurship like it's a sexy thing, and to some degree it is. You get to call your shots for certain things, but it's also extremely challenging, extremely emotional, and there are a lot of things that nobody tells you at the start. And that's
Yeah.
what Rachel and I want to go through with you, because these are the things that will ensure that you have food on your table and that you can sleep well at night, and that the days of crying and feeling sad, yeah, they get to be less, because you do still cry even when you're more successful. But looking at what you can do. So quickly, financial self-care, we're going to be talking about pricing your business. We're going to be talking about your business's financial culture, because just your culture and how you approach things, even your personal style of finance,
Yeah.
they're going to affect how you price your business, how you run your operations, and so on. We're also going to be talking about the pesky administrative aspects of
Mm.
finance. So things like statements. Let's say you go to PSCU and you say, "Hey, I want a loan or I want to get a mortgage." They're going to ask you for your financial statements. They're going to ask you for your bank statements. If you get a big job with a bigger organization and they want to register you, you're going to have certain things in place. You're going to have to pay your taxes every year. All of these different things. So we're going to run through that. We're also going to look at different tools you can use. And we're going to talk about dealing with financial institutions. So with us this morning, we also have Karen Holder Parks. She is the branch supervisor at the Arima branch of PSCU. So Karen is going to join us later in the session to chat about some of the things you can do just to take care of yourself financially, right? So yes, Edson is Edison is in the chat asking a team. There's two other classes. Edison, you were in the, I believe you were writing proposals this week, so you probably missed the first to this using social media to grow your business and the business writing. Hi, Marsha. Hi, Lestra. All right. So, Rachel, I'm going to let you kick things off. When it comes to financial self care and just planning for your life and taking care of you, what have been some of your lessons and what's some of your advice?
Um, well, hi everyone. Hi everyone. Thank you for having me. It's always great meeting up with Carol. Good times. But personally, financial, uh, what I learned over these 11 years is you need to know your personal self first before you start that business, right? So if you're someone who would just order things and not look at the bill, not look at the prices, these are some of the things that you have to start becoming aware of. And I mean, luckily for me, my business partner is what we want to call frugal, but he sort of brought that awareness for me when I started my business. So I always thought I had to buy the big fancy brand because, growing up, everybody tell you good thing, no cheap, and all these things. So, he saw us be looking for closing down sales. So we would buy chillers at like half the price, and it was the same fancy brand, but we would be looking for closing down sales and things like that. So he sort of taught me that personally, you need to be self-aware. You need to be aware of what you're spending, why you're paying so much for something. And when you're in business and you see the wholesale price of something, you're like, wait, the kind of markup that by the time it gets to the consumer, how much you're paying for something, it makes you really conscious about finding better deals, being more conscious, price sensitive when you're shopping, when you're purchasing certain things. And that was something I had to learn very quickly with my business. Personally, I find being an environmentally conscious person, it helped me become a little more mindful of wastage. So wastage is a big thing. Like I would just throw away half something if I didn't use it. And he always used to be like, no, we could compost this or we could turn it into something else or whatever. So I think you just have to start with being personally conscious on, when you go to a restaurant when we can, eventually, the pricing of things. Yes, treat yourself, definitely. I thoroughly believe in that, but just being personally aware of how you spend your money. And once you do that now, it will translate into your business. So yeah, that's definitely something I had to learn the hard way.
And I mean, that's an important point because for some of us, we love to have the best thing, the best quality. In my case, right now, my business is training. So everything I'm doing right now is online. So when you think about what goes into being online as a training business, it's not as simple as, well, I'm a participant in a webinar. I don't have to show myself on camera. So it doesn't really matter what equipment I use. For us, it's going through the lighting, looking at your mic, you know, looking at webcams. And if you start to say, well, I want the best of the best, the best of the best could run into some serious dollars. I'm talking about over 10 grand easily. And, so for me now, I have to shop and look around and look at, hey, what are the cheaper options? I have to do my research because, for example, if you're looking for lighting online, everyone will tell you they'll push certain products, but those products may be very expensive, but they also may be more than you need. So thankfully, I would go to someone. I went to Mark Lindesay, who's a veteran photographer and is excellent, excellent. Like none of the young boys have anything on Mark. And Mark showed me equipment that is much cheaper and it's excellent equipment. So I have to ship those in and you have shipping costs and so on. Because I have to be mindful of while I want the best thing, you have to look at what is my cash flow. Now we're going to be talking for people who are at different stages. So for Rachel and I, we've reached a certain state of stability. We still have our challenges, but we're a little more stable in the beginning. And I just want to talk about the beginnings, right, Rachel? When we had no money, when you might still have to call your parents and say, hey, I need some help with a bill, or you can't do certain things, or your friends want to go out and you have to say no. Not because you don't have the time, but you just don't have the money. And looking at, things like you took certain jobs because you didn't have any money and you took jobs that were below your value. And I know that this happens to people a lot when they are starting out. You just want to make money, you just want to get the customers, but people will take advantage of you. And I put up this thing here saying know your worth, because that's one of the first things you need to do as an entrepreneur. I was talking to someone this month and I suggested that they do a certain project. And, she put it on Facebook and Instagram and so on. And I had people calling me and saying, hey, you see so-and-so doing this and charging money. She should have done it for free. And I'm like, free is not going to help her pay her rent. It's not going to help her buy groceries. And she ended up she did get people who came on board and paid for the service. So y'all, I want y'all as we go along this too, think about your own business. And if you have questions, put them in the chat.
Yeah.
But looking at, are you costing your business the right way? If you're selling cakes and you know that you use premium products to make that cake, then you're going to have to charge accordingly. So if it is, you're using cocoa from Rancho Camado or down south or wherever it is, you have to charge for that. And people are going to always try to beat you down. They are always going to ask for discounts. And sometimes it's the people who can afford to pay full price and more.
I was just going to say that. Find the people who are willing to pay that price. So learning who your customers are is something I learned the hard way in the beginning. I was trying to satisfy everybody and compromising my worth, compromising the worth of the service just to get a sale. But there are people who are willing to pay a premium for certain conveniences and things like that. Yes, the economy changes and things like that, but people know, your customer when they're happy, they're excited to see what you're offering. But when you have someone come to you and they're like, so much, I will pay this for this and that for that, that's not your customer. And it's okay. For a long time, I used to try to satisfy everybody. But I learned quickly, I have to know who my customer is so that they will appreciate and value what we are selling, So knowing your worth is definitely, and then finding others who appreciate that is market research, basically, So when you find that one person who will pay and never complain and loves it and appreciates, figure out who that person is and find more of them like that. who are willing to pay that and pay for your
Yeah.
service, you know.
I mean, and then when you say value and finding the people, that's where the marketing comes into play.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you say, well, nobody wants to pay, but we haven't found those people. We haven't, in airy fairy marketing talk, you hear people talk about finding your tribe. And it just means that you haven't found your tribe. You haven't found those people who see the value in what you do, who understand just how much work. So Rachel is up 4 o'clock in the morning, looking at vegetables and fruits.
Yes, I mean, in the early days, it was like that. When we went to financial institutions in the beginning, it was like Trinidadians will never buy food on the internet, and we have over 5,000 online shoppers to date. So whatever your dream is, what your goal is, believe in it, prove your concept, and just keep at it. You cannot stop, especially if you really believe that what you're doing is of value. So.
And Rachel, would you say that when you stopped compromising and you started saying, here's what I do is of value because we are going to get the foods for you. This is not the same as, well, I could get that for the same price in the market because the person is choosing premium fruits and vegetables for you. They are delivering it to your door. You can get next day delivery. The other thing is with market movers is that if you want to send stuff to your granny, you can create multiple addresses and say, okay, send fruits to my grandmother. So there's a price for that. When you stop compromising, because people will say, oh gosh, that's so expensive, or $7 for a pound of bananas. When you stop compromising on your price, how did that help your business?
I mean, it thoroughly did. So we stumbled into a market segment. They are the diaspora who live abroad and they order online for their families here, right? So for a long time, yes, we have local customers, of course, but for a long time, my market segment was actually not in Trinidad. But because I did not compromise and I wanted to bring the best quality to people, I had to charge a premium because when you buy a box of bananas and half of it spoil or whatever, I have to charge a price that's going to cover that wastage. It's going to cover if, somebody stole it on the way, when they're transporting it. So costing your stuff is really important because you have to take into consideration wastage. We deal with perishables. So when we put a price on something, it's factoring in all those elements, but also we found a market segment that appreciated it because the first thing when we deliver to their family here, they're going to take a picture of the box and send it to their family abroad on WhatsApp. So I don't want to put something that doesn't look good. We do a lot of pesticide free because our customers will getting like chronic illnesses, before when they came to us and they wanted pesticide free, they wanted organic, and those things come at a premium. When we have a farmer who grows organic and a pest eats half of it, there's a reason they charge us that price. It's a risk and there's a value behind it. So not compromising on our prices meant in the earlies we didn't get a lot of customers, but once we retain that standard and that quality, we eventually got customers who appreciated. And what ended up happening is we expanded our product portfolio. So we added more products. So we got those customers who were willing to purchase from us to spend more. So rather than us going out and trying to find a million more people like that, we decided, okay, we're going to expand our portfolio so that they would just so our current customer base will just spend more. So you can increase your sales by just diversifying and opening up your product portfolio, your offering, and getting those customers and your customers who love you. The ones who, no matter what you put up on your site, no matter what you announce on Instagram or Facebook, they're messaging you one time, they love it. Oh my God, yes, add it to my basket. Those customers. And I think once you try to understand them and figure out what they're looking for, you can expand your product portfolio and say, listen, now we have this, now we added this, and you can get them to now spend more with you. So I think understanding that and not compromising on your worth of yourself and your service is just like, when that light switch goes off, like there's no stopping you. There's absolutely no stopping you.
And Marsha's in the chat saying that she has a tendency to assist anyone who is selling something. So they're selling soaps, kuchila, honey, giving lessons, doing homemade wines. And Friends Solar will register a business and start helping people to do that. And so what Marsha, what you are doing, it may seem like, well, I just helping people, but people need help. We all want someone to hold our hand along the way, and there's a value in having someone who can do that and who can not just say they could do it, but make an impact and do it well. Because some of us have that natural gift. There's some of us, we may not buy from a brand all the time, but we always share. If we share it on Facebook or Instagram, that person gets new customers and so on. So you think about that, even though it's a service that isn't necessarily physical, what is the value? What change is it creating for your customer? Because the value is in that change, in that difference, in that benefit that you're offering to them. So look at that as well. And we have Keisha who was asking Rachel, what were your strategies in seeking finance for your business and the challenges you encountered?
So the strategy in the beginning, when you start something, I need money, right? You look to see who offering. So the first thing I did, I joined the YES program in Netco. They were doing basically how to start a business plan. So me and David, we didn't have business experience, but we were like, all right, we signed up and we both couldn't afford to do it at the same time. Like that's how bad it was. We didn't have enough money to travel to go do it in the beginning. So one of us had to do the course, right? While he, worked on other parts of the business, finding farmers, finding suppliers, things like that. So I went to Netco first. I did the program, I tried to apply, and it was just really overwhelming, all the requirements, this whole long list, you need a business plan. I didn't even know what a business plan was. So I decided to learn the fundamentals. And I realized every financial institution had a kind of formula. They wanted a business plan, they wanted your finances, they wanted these kind of criteria. So I went around looking all over, trying to see who would support a business like ours. And because it was, 11 years ago, we were trying to sell fruits on the internet. Like, imagine what that was like, everybody was just like, no, no, like this is not gonna work. We're not gonna spend money on this. Most people didn't have like a personal computer then. People didn't have credit cards. So, it was a real challenge, but we kept looking. We found a financial institute at that stage that supported startups. So, if you're a startup, look for institutions that support startups. If you're growing, look for institutes that support growing businesses. And at that point, you have to rejection, like people telling me no, does not faze me. And I think when you're now starting, you have to build that confidence and be a little stronger. Somebody telling you no just means either fix it and come back or find somebody who will tell you yes, So
and that no is a blessing in a way.
It was.
I think what happens is a lot of times when we start out in business, the first thing we think is, I need to take a loan.
Yeah.
But you haven't had time to prove concept. You haven't had time to get, a core base of customers. And you haven't had time to figure out, how can I do this without spending a lot of money? Because sometimes we see other people, they come from rich families, and daddy gives them $2 million. Yeah, go and start your business. And you hear these stories of people renting fancy offices, and they start off with
drivers,
big launches, and it's like, okay. But, then you see the business just folds in a year. And at first you might say, look at them, they have all this money, and you feel a kind of way, but you're lasting and they're not lasting because you had to figure out how to make do with little. And I think the no is a blessing because you probably didn't even need a loan at that time. You know what I mean? Because you also want to be able, there's a little thing that happens where small businesses take loans and they default. So sometimes you will find some financial institutions, you will say, oh, they don't like the small man. But in the background, we don't hear the stories of how many loans have been defaulted on and so on. And so it's a case of Peter paying for Paul. Because people they take a loan and you haven't yet figured out your business. I would say do not take a loan for your business until you know how and you know for sure that this business is capable of generating revenue. because you need to pay back the institution.
And
You also don't want to give your business a bad name.
a big test for that for us was if a customer bought again. That was my proof of concept. If I
Yeah.
sold to them, I could have sold. The first order we had was like 15 orders, right? And 7 of them reordered. So I was like, 50% of my market and who I targeted, reordered. And that was my proof of concept that this person got the first order, they liked it, and they placed another order. And every time somebody places another order is my proof of concept. And if you can show, listen, I just have 30 customers, but each of them have placed an order with me 3 times a month or every week or once a month or whatever, this means that my service is credible. What I'm doing is appreciated, and it doesn't matter the numbers in the beginning, but that no is a blessing. Like when we applied for our first business loan, we wanted $30,000. They said, well, everybody told us no, and then the one place that actually said yes gave us 10,000. And what that did is taught us to be lean. So the budget that we had put out for the new fancy baskets and the this and that, we ended up delivering in simple reusable bags. But what it actually did was just taught us to be really lean in how we started the business. And that was like the biggest blessing in disguise, because we would have gone and spent that 30,000, could not pay back that loan. We paid back the 10,000 in a year. It took us a year to pay back $10,000, and that in itself was that blessing. So no's do not, I actually like no's sometimes because it's a challenge for me to innovate or rethink or ask somebody else, so.
And sometimes you have to ask yourself what skill sets you have and what skill sets your loved ones around you have that they can help you. When I started out Livewire Group, I built my own website, because even back then people would quote you 25,000 for a website, 40,000 for a website.
I got 32,000, yeah.
And I did it because I did it for myself. I figured it out with WordPress and so on for myself, because you know the flow you want. And then when you're a new business, you're always changing things. I can't afford to pay someone for every single change. So did I get a website I wanted? No, because my skills were limited. Did I build one that worked? Yes, I did. Is it one that I want to redo? Yes. Have I had time to redo it? No, because I built up something that was working, and then I focused on sales, and forming relationships and so on. So you got so busy that you don't have the time to do this kind of thing. But you're looking at what can I do for myself? How can I make things work without putting myself into huge debt when I don't know yet how much money my business makes. So in the comments, JL was asking, who are the financial institutions who support startups? I think the real question isn't who are the financial institutions that support startups. The real question is, how can startups make themselves credible to the financial institution? Because you go to the bank or you go to the credit union and you say, hey, I want a loan, but when they ask you for your statements, you don't have your statements. And I mean, when you're now starting out, that is the easiest. You already have no money. When you're suffering, that is the easiest time to do up statements and these kind of things, because there are less receipts to find, there's less bookkeeping, and it's easier to keep a record. But if you don't have your statements in place, if you don't have bylaws, there's a standard bylaw that is used in Trinidad and Tobago. You just go on Google and type in bylaws for Trinidad and Tobago, and legally it's there for you to use, to literally copy and paste and change your company name and change whatever other things that you want to remove from it. So the bank or whoever or the credit union will ask you for your bylaws. They will want your registration as a business, whether you're a sole proprietor or a limited liability. You need to get your documents in order, because it's very easy to say, this, that, and the other about the institutions. But if we really stop and ask ourselves, do you really have your stuff in order? We don't have it in order most of the times when we're starting out. And even when you're a little more mature in business, sometimes at the point you're going for the loan, you may have already completed your taxes. So by now, you've completed your taxes for 2019. But let's say it's now, it's basically November, tomorrow is November, and you're going to the bank for a loan. They are going to ask you for information for 2020. How have you been, managing? Because they understand that you have challenges, but they also need a guarantee that you have a plan in place to be able to make money so that you can pay them back. Because if I came to one of you all and said, hey, lend me $20,000 now, you'd be like, Carol, how am I getting that back? When am I getting that
Like
back?
wired financials.
How many customers do you have? How much do they pay you? And you're going to pepper me with questions. So I think the main thing really, y'all, is from the start, get your stuff in order. You can use like QuickBooks, QUICK It's a simple accounting software where you can literally use it to do your invoices, receipts, and also plug in your other expenses. So you can just print that out and carry it to the bank.
That's something like having your logo on your invoice. You would
Yeah.
how much people respect certain things like that. So Wave Apps is another WAV apps. That's another accounting software you can use just as an interim. QuickBooks is definitely more robust and things like that.
And QuickBooks, you do this, what I call the sprung. I'm sorry to cut you. The sprung approach, I call it. You wait.
The basic trial.
Yeah, you wait for the trial, and then no, QuickBooks every year they do it. Where you can get half the year instead of paying the full $23.99 a month or whatever, you can literally pay $6 US. So for 6 months, you're paying, and you can pay it by the month. And those things allow you go to the bank and they ask you for documents. You're not stressing out because you can just print that out.
Of the financial institutions, I will say in the beginning. So when I started, it was being an entrepreneur. My mother used to tell my family, she's an entrepreneur. I think that means she stays home and does something on her computer. Like nobody knew what an entrepreneur was back then. You were basically living with your parents and whatever.
Yeah.
But I think now there's so many agencies that support entrepreneurs. It's like a big thing to be an entrepreneur now. So if you just search startup Trinidad and Tobago, you will find a lot of agencies that support startups in different ways, right? Capacity building and financials. But I would definitely say search. Most of these institutions are actually giving you, they have like a downloadable business plan template. A lot of them provide support. So what you can do is shift your perception of they are not interviewing you. You can interview the financial institute that suits you, right? So don't feel overwhelmed. You are the one with the power. You are the one who can possibly turn your business into $1 million idea. And you are the one who has to sort of go in and meet with every financial institute and see who's right for you. And I mean, yes, some of them will tell you no, and that's okay. That just means that they're not for you. I mean, we've all dated before, so.
That is exactly what.
So right away when somebody is not for you.
But get your documents in order, and that brings us to the biggest part of financial self-care, I think, because if you as an individual are not okay, your business is not going to be okay. So let's talk about taking care of yourself. The first move in taking care of yourself is paying yourself. It doesn't matter if all you can pay yourself is $200 or $500.
My first salary was $300.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, someone here is saying that, so some people, they work on the side, right? So they have a full-time job and they're working on their business on the side. What you do is you still pay yourself something. You can also, I don't know if you all ever saw the meme online in the US, and in one of the tips that they give, they say, start a company, right? So you can run expenses through that. Your company, your registered business can pay your phone bills. It can pay for a car for you. You know what I mean? It can pay rent. So if you end up using where you live, I mean, you're working from home. That is a business expense.
A business expense.
That is a business expense. But the first thing is you always know your value. You charge your value. There will be times where you flex depending on the client, and you will learn to read your clients and, know how to make arrangements. if you're doing a business to business type of service, we always tell people ask for 50% down. But sometimes, depending on the accounting processes in that organization, you won't be able to get that down payment before when they need a service. So some of it is also acting on faith, but you make sure you have agreements in place, sign codes where there's proof that they said, hey, we are going to pay you. Even for Rachel and they, Rachel, you mentioned 11 years ago, people weren't using credit cards like they are now. So you all had a level of trust where people paid when you all brought the fruits to them. So it was a chance for the customer wouldn't say, we don't want the pumpkin again. Send it back.
Luckily for us, I don't know what it was. Well, I mean, because we didn't compromise on the quality side, I think we've never had like somebody just flake or not be there or not show up or to receive their goods. I mean, people still call us to this day and go, this real? Or you're really going to bring this thing? And, so there's a balance of trust. So it's not only me trusting the customer is trusting me as well to deliver. So I think when you enter into contracts like that, where you have to pay 50% down and you're hoping that they pay the balance, and yes, you have to bring work up front, it's an opportunity for you to build that trust relationship, because remember, you're coming to them first to ask for them to trust you. They didn't, you're offering a service. So you're asking this client or this customer to trust that you are going to deliver on what you promise, So trust goes both ways for sure. And you have to find that balance and know that, some of us got burned in the past and it's hard for us to trust clients, but it's a chance we have to take. I mean, we've all done it. So the second time around, it just pays off tenfold, So you have to trust that what you're doing is real and authentic and keep pushing that mission through. Do not change, do not compromise on your personal worth, on your personal value system, on your business value system. Do not compromise. I've done it in the past. I took clients that I knew were more price conscious. Yes, they were buying large volumes, but they were so price conscious that I wasn't even making a profit servicing them. Yes, I was pushing big volumes, but I had to end up telling them no. And then on top of that, it was a 3-month credit facility. So, you have to learn to say no sometimes. And it was a huge client, huge client. So, I mean, it's okay. It's fine. I cried for like 2 days, but, I dust off and I went back at it. So.
And like you said, there's a trust element. You get burned, and the more every time you get burned, you learn a lesson. But there's always that fine balance, because you find yourself in another position with a different customer, but that customer will actually come through for you.
Yeah.
I would say that it's intuition.
Yeah, pay your bills. Whatever your bill is, pay it. You see, when you also, if it's your phone bill, whatever it is, if you're a supplier, even if you're paying them, I will negotiate and say, okay, listen, I'll pay 50% up front. After I sell everything, I'll pay the balance. But pay your bills. Like, it builds trust, it builds credibility, it shows that you are a responsible person. Yes, we may default, we may pay a little late or something like that, but always pay. Even if it's you're paying a portion of it, pay something towards it. It matters. And I mean, my mother always used to tell me that, like, when you pay your bills, you'll get it in return, because if you're paying somebody's going to pay you and pay you on time. And this is why I love working with small businesses, and why we push small businesses. We know the value of somebody paying you on time. Like, when somebody call you and tell you a check ready, and you're like, wait, what? Like, you wasn't expecting it. Like, that feeling is really good. And I think you have to, balance that and give it back to the universe in that sense. So for sure, I would definitely say, like, even if it's $100 towards it, if your phone bill is $600, even if you're going and pay $100, it matters. Trust me, it matters,
And I really believe in that, because I was coming to say that same thing. There's something, I mean, I'm not a big person on karma and that kind of thing, but honestly, just how you behave with other people, that you want your clients to pay you on time, pay the people who are around you. on time. I mean, sometimes even my mom will say, Carol, you're real generous because I would, if I can find room to pay someone more because I know that they deserve more, I do
Yeah.
it. Sometimes it might mean after the fact I realize that, okay, I made less. But, when you get continuous work and so on, you know that things are happening for you and it's all a cycle. But you really want to ensure that you pay your bills on time. You want to ensure that you figure out your revenue and your frequency of the revenue, which is why when people come to me and they say, Carol, I want to start a business. Oh, I'm so inspired by you. I want to do this. And I'm like, listen to me. This thing is stress. Do not study the fact that you see me smiling all the time. It is a lot of work, but you also want to figure out how am I going to manage things because we take the leap. And some of us, we can afford to take the leap because we have families who will take care of us. You know what I mean? And we
Yeah.
know that we don't have to worry about rent. I remember some years ago, that was back in 2011, I had gone up for the Branson Center of Entrepreneurship in Jamaica. And one of the mentors, he said, when you're starting a business, don't get married, don't parents, stay home my mother and father. And he was a big Jamaican businessman. And now some of us, we're already married. We're already renting, so we have these bills, but we have to figure out how are we charging, how many clients do you need per month to make your target, right? Because you need to pay yourself a salary. You also need to separate your business funds from your personal funds. So I think for me, I was an accidental entrepreneur. I just started working for myself because I didn't like my job anymore and I left. And so at first, you get money, you spend it. You get money, you spend it. You get a big check, you're like, oh, whoosh, I could buy the nice thing I was looking at all the time. And then you realize that money just finishes it. It just goes. And when I incorporated my company and I started feeding the money through this official account, it meant I couldn't go and dip in the cookie jar like I used to when it was my own cookie jar. And that helped a lot with streamlining, with saving, because you need to pay yourself, but you also need to save something. So you
Yeah.
can even set up a second when you get over the hurdle and you open that business account and shop around. I know credit unions don't necessarily offer business accounts; they support you from the personal end. But if you're opening a company account, you can even open a second one, a savings one. Even if you just funnel $300 a month to that savings and you don't touch it, in 3 years' time, that savings is something that you can use to invest in growing your business. Because one of the things I realized is that you need to also have money left back to grow the business. Once I was down to like my last few dollars, like literally, like, I could only live for another month. And I put on an event and it was I call it, people throw facts for carnival. I throw workshops for for professionals, right? And you were able to make a profit. And I realized that that little end that I used, I realized that I needed to have more of those ends. So you need to save. You have to have your salary. You need to save something for yourself from your salary. You also need to save something for the business. And the business, and Rish, we will talk about this a bit more in a while. What are some of the things that the business can do to take care of you? But we have some polls, and I want us to run a poll. So, admin, can you pull up the first poll first, please? We want to get a sense from you all. What are some of the things? So, are you paying yourself a salary? Right? Do you treat your business funds as a separate entity from your personal funds? So y'all can go in there and vote, put it in, and let's talk about what you can do for yourself.
And if you're all going and vote.
Yeah, we can vote.
Here, Gil.
So Marsha, Edison, Paige, Sean, Charlene, Maria, Listra, Leslie, Quasi, Keston, Kendall, Candy, Janae. It's a hard question, but putting it in black and white in that poll is going to hit you in the chest
Yes.
and make you realize, okay, I need to find a way. If I have not been paying myself before, it's okay to put no. It's okay to put
That's
no.
okay. That's actually okay.
Okay. It's
Especially if
okay to say, because at a point in time, I had to say no for number one and number two.
It had
Until
a
you
time to bit real with me. He's like, when I getting paid?
yeah, because there comes a time when you get fed up of I can't buy what I want to buy, or
And
you're
what
working so hard. You
and what
work
you end up doing?
you work so. My mother always tells me, Carol, you work harder than when you were working at a normal 8 to 4 job. And I mean, when I left my job, I was the manager of marketing and PR for a financial institution. It was not a soft job. It was a lot of work, but I work harder for myself. I have a diary that I designed for myself, and on weekends, um, it's a customized diary, and on weekends the title says "Get off of your plantation, Carol." But where am I today, y'all? I am on my plantation and I'm working, so I need to pay myself. So y'all, it doesn't matter if you have to say no. That's okay, because Rachel and I had to say no at a point in time, and even in a year like this year, we didn't pay ourselves the way we paid ourselves before COVID,
Yeah.
because it becomes it's an ant and grasshopper time. When you manage to make stuff, you have to store away
Yeah. I
for
mean,
the things.
for salaries, yeah, for sure. And there's little hacks you can use. I mean, after we get the results, we can share
Yeah.
that. For
So
sure.
I think everyone would have voted by now. So somebody saying first answer is no, he's now getting into business part-time, has not seen any money yet. Plus his whole life he has been a horrible saver. Horrible. So that means what
That's
he's
a
going to
piggy
do.
bank.
Yeah. Somebody says they don't pay themselves as yet, they reinvest everything in the business. They use their job to pay me. So they're working full-time. So that's completely fine.
Yeah,
That's
you can
completely fine because you have another source of income. But those of us who this is what we do, 8 to 12 p.m. or 8 to 2 a.m., 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. for ourselves, we have to take care of ourselves, because when you get sick, and you will get sick from overworking, you need to go in the drugstore. All of us know the minute you go in the drugstore, money spending. You go in penny. One of my friends used to say, Pennywise is the devil. You go to buy one deodorant, and you walk out, with $500 worth of goods. Yeah. So somebody saying they had to pause things when COVID started. So we
Yeah.
will see the results of the poll. Adrian, can we see the results of the poll? Right. So the results are saying that 17%. So 24 people voted, and we have way more than 24 people in the room. So for the next poll that we have, we want to see more votes. Are you paying yourself a salary? 17% said yes. 83% said no. Now those no's have different reasons in them. Some they're working for themselves, some they reinvest in the monies. If you don't have an 8 to 4, you don't have another source of income, or you don't do something else part-time that helps you to pay your personal bills, then you have to sit back down and reassess the business. If you're not getting enough customers as yet, then it means, okay, how can I find new customers? It means you need to you'll go online. Big organizations like Adweek and Marketing Week, they have a lot of free seminars these days, which are excellent. Excellent. And those of you all who went the first webinar with social media, you learn the things you need to do to grow the business. It means you have to find ways to grow the business, but your goal is to start being able to pay yourself, because you don't want to be a starving artist.
But a little realization there too is, okay, if you're doing this full time, and yes, you're saying you're not paying yourself a salary, but you have personal expenses. That money that you're spending on your personal expenses is the company paying you a salary. Yeah? It's just that
Yeah.
you're not officially saying, well, whatever. So work out your personal expenses, whatever that is, and if the company is paying it, just take out that amount from the business account. If you don't have one yet or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just separate it and give it to yourself. Put it in your bank account,
Yeah.
But it is that you actually are getting a salary. you know, you're mixing
But here's
it.
the thing, some
Yeah.
might not be getting a salary because they may not have ever realized. I mean, it took me a while to realize that the business could pay your phone bill. The business can pay for the gas that you use to move around to drop off goods, you know, or to pick up stuff. The
But
business
then
can
you can
pay.
identify that, okay, if this is your personal expenses per month, then the business is going to cover that for you. If that's the case, you know?
Yeah. Pennywise is not a personal expense that the business could pay.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Pennywise is not a business expense, but you're looking at what is a justifiable business expense.
Yes.
Gas, buying a car. So the car doesn't have to be in your name, it's in the company's name.
And if you're using it to go do deliveries or
Exactly.
so
Exactly. So you have these different stationery, coffee, tea. So you go to the grocery, you separate items. Okay,
yeah,
I know I could put napkins, coffee, tea, you know, those kind of things as office expenses. So you get a separate bill. You get a separate bill for that, right? Now, the second question was like, do you treat your business funds as a separate entity from your personal funds? 54% said yes, 46% said no. So again, looking at the expenses and which ones are applicable to personal and business, that would help you to do that separation. Now, Edison is asking, are women better savers than men? Are women better
that
savers than men? Edison, women are better at a lot of stuff. But on a serious note, he's asking this because he says he's not disciplined with this. It could be laziness, so he has to change that behavior. No, his female friends are so good with that, and some men are disciplined. Edison, it's a personal thing. Some of us we don't know what less.
and if
You know
you're
what?
not good at that, then set up a standing order. You know, they keep saying it, set up a standing order, put it separate, you know, and so that way you don't even have to think about it. And there's a reason they do it because you know when the money come and the bills come, you're not thinking, well, okay, let me after you pay all that to think to take out this $300 to put in another account. If it's gone before you even get it, then you don't even have to worry about it. It's already put into a separate account. So standing orders are a dream. I definitely would recommend that. And that's
And that is why even with the credit union account, when you join the credit union, they set up a standing order for you or a salary reduction
something
so
that
that the funds
David,
automatically go.
that's something David and I did early on. So like I knew the company wouldn't be able to pay us a pretty big salary right away. So we took a certain amount of money, and it wasn't even a lot. It was 300 each, and it was put
Yeah.
aside into savings / kind of insurance thing. And you know, you can do that in the credit union where the company just automatically puts that $300 away for you every month. And trust me, it's one of the best decisions you'll ever make because I mean, it's 11 years later and we haven't touched that initial and
It's not going to say that.
we increased the amount and we just forgot about it, you know, and now at least we know we have this put aside for the managers of the business, you know, later
Because
on.
it looks small. It looks, that $300, it looks small. But 4 years later, when you need 20,000 to do something or whatever, or 10,000, you're like, hey, I actually have money. And
Yeah.
it was because of that. So those are some of the things that you want to be doing. We also have to look at, so we talked about things like, you know, generating revenue, paying your worth. I'm charging your worth.
Yes.
What you can also do is you can mix items. So you would have your premium stuff. You would have, you know, stuff that is more for the price conscious person. So it's the same way in Pennywise. You can go and buy something for $5, but you can also buy something for $500. If you look at KFC, right, they mix up the combos. Now I know not everyone eats it, but I'm using just the example.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same product, but they create different packages. So
Yeah.
you can mix your prices. I have people who come to me and say, hey, do you do individual coaching? Yes, I do. Does it tend to be more expensive? Yes, it does. Because the average lessons teacher out there charging your real money for your child. So who is me?
And
I
it's
do
the
what
same
I
amount of work, whether it's one person or it's 100.
So so I tell people that when I have bigger groups, it's far more affordable. so you can wait for that. I'll keep you in the loop, send me an email, whatever it is. But you want to mix and match your offerings because you have the things. I remember one of my old bosses, I worked in a small PR agency, and she had a client who just paid 800 every month. It was a small church or something, and they paid 800 for their PR and stuff. And we used to be working real hard for them, right? But she was like, they pay the light bill. So you know that this so-called small job, that is what pays, a specific bill when the month comes,
Yeah.
whatever it is. But you really want to start to streamline things in a way that you're able to pay yourself something or save or have the company set up a saving plan for you. So your company can set up a Sapphire or an Emerald investment account in PSCU, right? It's your name, the money is in your personal name, but the company, the deduction comes from the company, and they send that money across to PSCU for you so that you have that money there. In 5 years' time, when you go to apply for a mortgage, you have a history with the credit union of being a regular payer. People who tend to make regular contributions to their shares tend to be people who we can rely on to pay their loans and not default. Because it's always easy to cry, oh, they give me no loan. But when they look at your credit history, they realize you don't pay on time. They can't take those chances. So setting up a history as a self-employed person, it genuinely helps you. And we're going to have Karen coming on in a while, right, to talk more with us about these types of things.
And
so
it's never too late, eh?
it's never ever too late.
Monday morning, make the appointment, go set it up. It's never too late. Trust me.
Yeah, it's never too late. So what I want us to do, we have some more polls, Joe. We're gonna go through these polls, and then I'm going to call Karen to give us the juice on how we can set ourselves up with PSCU Credit Union. So admin, can you pull up the next poll first, please? Do you think you need a loan for your business? Somebody says they think you're never too old, boy. Once you have life and strength and oxygen, and oxygen is even more.
But he real messaging for old man.
And it's not that old.
You're not too old.
Yeah, Akisha says it's called generating a saving pattern. Yes. Glamour, very encouraging. Yeah, we have to encourage each other because trust me, being self-employed, it is not for the faint-hearted. And if you are faint-hearted in the start, you get fed up of crying eventually. And I call it being like a stunt man. In the beginning, you cry when things are low, month end is coming, you're not seeing any money. And then eventually you start to, you're like, oh, this is a small thing. I could do this. All right. So do you think you need a loan for your business? Let's see the results. So 48% said yes, 54% said no. For those who said yes, Rachel, what advice do you have for them? They say they think they need a loan for the business. Let's say they apply for that loan and they get that loan. What is your advice for them?
Well, I mean, taking a loan is, you have to get a return on that, right? You're borrowing this money, you're going to pay interest on it. So you have to get a return that's going to cover repaying the loan and covering the interest as well. And of course, the sooner you pay it off, less interest you pay, all that good stuff, right? So if you get a loan and you're successful, I mean, prior to that, you should have had a plan on how you plan on investing this into your business. So for instance, if you take a small loan and you're going to buy a chiller, means you can store more items, means you can have a longer shelf life. So you have to understand what the value is. If you want to do it to do research and development, you want to launch a new product, and you know that, okay, if I test this product, I get everything I need to sell 1,000 units of this product in the next 6 months in order to get a return on it. So always set a number or a target that goes with it. So from the time that clock starts ticking, you borrow that money, you have to know, okay, I have to pay the monthly installment. That has to be covered every month. So if you have 3 months worth of your monthly installment that you could put aside one time. So when you take the money for the loan or whatever, you could actually put aside the installment amount for 3 months and put that aside. So you take a portion of that borrowed money to at least cover you and keep you secure for 3 months. And it gives you time now to then do what you need to do with the money and things like that. So I would always say prepare, always have a backup.
Right. So Akeisha is saying loans are good. You just have to know your plan.
Yes.
And that is what Rachel is saying. Now someone else is asking, for those who have a business and they need loans, but they are now starting, it's difficult. And that is true. But here's why it's difficult. Because you haven't proven that you can get customers. You all, I know it's hard. I am not saying it isn't. But put yourself, you have money, right? So JL, you have tons of money. 10 years from now, JL is this big business person, right? Rachel and I can't talk to you, right? And we come
straight in the BMW.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know you. I mean, like, we spoke to you that day in your webinar. I don't know you, right? But JL, we come to you and say, hey, boy, we need some money. You're going to start to ask, okay, how many customers do you have? How much money do you make for the month? These kind of things. So that's why when we say, if you're going for a loan is not a gamble. For an entrepreneur, entrepreneurship is risky. But what we do is that we take calculated risks. We have done the maths behind the scene. And the math, I ain't talking about like you have to literally be good at math because your girl here had to repeat maths to see it. So, but you literally take a pen and paper and say, okay, this product, if I'm selling chocolate cake, one cake is $100, but I want to make $5,000 every month from cakes. It might mean I also need to have a more expensive cake. So I can have different types of chocolate cakes, the layered ones with ganache, whatever. So you would work out, okay, to make $5,000 a month, I need to sell at least 10 of the $100 one plus 10 of the ones for $300, and you literally, so it comes like it's kindergarten maths that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and a good test, like just don't lie to yourself, right? So for instance, the first set of produce that David and I would have bought in the market, it was like $500. And I remember my mother loaned me $500 for us to go. We got the stuff, we sold the items, and we priced the stuff so that, okay, if we buy $500 worth, we could get the 15 orders out of this, and we will get back this much money. And I went and I paid back my mom that first week. And she lent me $1,000 the next week.
Yeah. Big up mommies.
Big up mommies.
Big up my mommies watching right now.
not everybody might have that, but you might have an aunt, but you see, the fact that I went back and I gave her it back, she was like, so fast you pay me back? But you see, you have to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself. If it is, you cannot pay back, say, mommy, okay, 5, 10 people didn't pay me. They didn't pay me for the service. And that's why I didn't pay back. But go back and explain to her why and say, okay, well, but if they had paid my mommy, I would have get X, Y, Z, right? So lend me this time. I'm not going to, go and deliver to these people. I'm going to find people. So the people who paid you now, you say, okay, you go to them and you say, you have any friends who might be interested in the service? Because more than likely, the person who pays you has friends and family who are just as honest and worthy of your service. So it's really just that initial time. Don't get too bogged down on the dollars and cents. It's about, tweaking that formula of, if I create this package and I give it to this person and I get back this money, what can I do with it now? Yes, we always say we reinvest it back into the business, but a lot of businesses are just funneling the same money over and over, and they're not actually getting a profit to then invest into something else really. So you make the money to buy back the same stock, to make back the same amount of money. And then you go back and you do that again and again and again. So you really have to see, okay, what is the return on this? And whittle it down to that one product, one person, one customer, and see, okay, am I really making a profit on this customer? So,
and move from revenue to profit. So what we're hearing is you have to really prepare your business. Mm-hmm. You have to figure out, how am I making this money? How many customers do I have? If I get 10 customers a month, how many of them do I get to be repeat customers? Or are they the ones who bring people in bulk? Or are they people who, there's an ice cream I love, right? Sorbete ice cream. It's ice cream delivered to your door every weekend. And I don't buy ice cream all of the time. It's $50 for a pint of ice cream, which is the same as Haagen-Dazs or Ben and Jerry's. But trust me, it is better than Haagen-Dazs and Ben and Jerry's. And she uses local fruits, all these things. I love ice cream. If I'm gonna buy 6 tubs of ice cream, you know how much money that is? So I can't buy ice cream all of the time. But I share stuff on Instagram, I share stuff on Facebook, and tons of people buy, which is why my mother's birthday is tomorrow. Today is not the delivery day for the East, but she's making arrangements to get ice cream to me so I can get ice cream in time for mom's birthday. That is what you call delighting customers, because she knows that I'm a loyal customer who, even when I don't buy, I demonstrate loyalty by getting referrals and getting, so it doesn't matter that I didn't buy from her for 3 months, because in those 3 months, I got her about 10 new customers. Now with the bank, put yourself in the shoe, Rachel mentioned, she went back to mommy and said, well, 10 people didn't pay me, so that's why I couldn't pay her back the money. Imagine the bank gives out 100 loans and 90 people don't pay back. Now, yes, people say the bank has a lot of money or the credit union has a lot of money. They could take that bounce. But you as a business person, are you going to take all of that bounce? You're not going to. So what you really need to do is take a while to make sure that on your own, without that external investment, your business can work first. Because most of us, we're not dealing with capital heavy types of businesses. So we don't need to go and take that big loan. We need to make sure that on a smaller scale, this thing can actually grow, and then we move from there. So let's go into another poll. Admin, can you pull up the next one for us, please? And we're going to be whipping through these ones because I want to bring in Karen just now. Do you know your banker's or your bank officer's name or your credit union officer's name? Yes or no? That's an easy one. If you want something from the bank, do you have to call general customer service, or do you know the personal banking officer who you can call and ask a question?
And this person have your money, you know, so.
You know, there's a person in my bank, I know I want something, I can email her. I have her cell phone. I can call to say, hey.
I ask somebody to hold $100 to me and I know the name. I'm not gonna just leave it with somebody and not know who's, yes, you trust the brand and you know the bank this and whatnot, but knowing your bank.
No, she's not gonna, the bank is not gonna give you preferential treatment, but they will help you and guide you, as opposed to, you have to go and stand up in a long line in the hot sun right now to wait to go to the information desk.
And I learned quickly that is I was in a meeting with a bunch of business owners, and it had the big boys, it had the startups, it had the in-betweens and whatever. And we wanted to do online credit card payments and whatever. And the big boy just picked up his phone. Yes, he is a bigger client, but he knew the person's name. He could ask questions right away. Whereas if you don't know, you have to go through, and that slows down your business. That time, if it takes you 2 weeks to apply for something versus a week, that can mean the difference between getting a big client or not getting a big client, you know? So I would definitely say build relationships with your banker, ask them the name, just, what's your name? Oh,
know who to talk to, know who to ask for. Yeah. So Marsha says she knows her person at PSCU,
very good.
Right? Another person, Helen, says she knows her officer's name. Another person says she's never been to the bank yet for her business. That's okay. Find a way, get there, and find out that business officer who signs up your account or does your mortgage for you or does your personal loan or whatever it is, know their name. So admin, let's see the results of this poll. Right, so 47% says yes, 57% says no. So what that means is you all have homework. You all have to start knowing who you need to ask for. You're going to PSCU, you know if you're asking for Karen, Carol, Stacy, Lisa, Peter, whoever, you know who you're asking for, because it removes the administrative time and inconveniences to have to go to the bank to ask.
And most of the time have a business card, ask them for the business card. That way you have their email address, you could email them, you could call them, ask for their names. It might just be the extension number, it wouldn't be the
Yeah.
but at least you're
But somebody
closer to getting to them.
and talk to the people nicely, yeah.
And carry a business card. That helps. Carry a business card. And a lot of times our bankers end up being customers. They will order online, you know, so it's an opportunity to market your business as well. Trust me.
Yeah.
Relationships for sure.
You want to do these things. Okay, we have another poll. Admin, can you pull up the next one, please? Glamour says her credit union is her family.
Glamour know the thing.
Glamour know the thing. All right, what are your monthly financial targets for your business? Y'all, it doesn't matter if you're not making this just yet. Put a figure in there, how much you want to make for your business.
Are you setting that target? Do you have a target, you know?
Because if you want to pay yourself a salary, then your business needs to be making a certain amount of money when the month comes.
Christmas coming, if you set that target to 5,000 and you say, okay, at the end of November, I want to make 5,000.
Arun, I'm not hearing you today.
It's a
Fernando, DCL, Emmanuel, Felicia, Kenda, Naftali. All right, so you'll put in there how much, what your targets are. Great. All right, let's see the results. All right, so we're seeing that most people want to make between $5,000 to $10,000 a month, right? Yes, Rachel.
No, that's a nice even figure. I like it. It realistic is a balance, because a lot of times we used to set targets that was so low, but just because I like to achieve it. So for me in the beginning, I used to say, okay, well, we just want to make this much. And the best advice I got was, what would you want to make if you no limitations, nothing, and set that target. You know, you may not make it every month, but I find it drives me to get to that more and more. So for instance, we have a target every month at Market Movers. Today was the last day to meet that target, right? We offered free delivery yesterday to just get that spike up, you know? So when you set those targets, it gives you something tangible and achievable to accomplish, you know? And if you don't make it, like, that motivates me to just do it again the next month, you know? Or, you know, revisit some of the things or approaches or products that I'm offering, you know? So
right, so we see that 46% want to make 5,000 to 10,000. Then in second place, 35% of the attendees, you all want to make 3,000 to 5,000. And then tying, we have 1,000 to 2,000, and some people want to make more than 15 grand.
That was you, Carol.
Right?
That was you, Carol.
So we have 10,000 to 15,000, 1,000 to 2,000, more than listed above, all coming in at 8% of the votes. So you're putting these hard targets there also tells you, well, how much do I need to sell? And let me tell you, I know for some people, they may be saying, make $15,000 a month. It's possible. Think of the people, somebody put as a new part-time startup, this was the hardest poll. And that's good, Anika, because now I can say, because Anika, I sure, if you work in a full-time job, when you're doing your work for your other business, after work, when you're tired on a weekend and you have to get up early the next morning, you're not working from home, so you can't lie and tell a client, have a meeting, and you're doing something else, or you're taking a little time out, right? You need to put hard figures, because it also tells you how much of your product needs to be sold. Then it tells you what, I need to be reaching more customers. Instead of just relying on social media, I need to also pick up the phone. I need to do flyers. You know what I mean then?
Yeah.
Because people baking cake out here and making good money, charging you $500 for a cake. If I'm charging $500 for a cake and I sell 5 cakes this month, how much money did I just make? 5,000. Does it sound so unrealistic? That is why, and I want to make this point. People are talking about the doubles man and paying tax. Doubles man making real money, right? So don't tell yourself, well, I can't make money, because when he sell however many hundreds of doubles when the day comes, he going above our targets when the man comes to know, or the taxi driver, you will have a taxi driver come and say, hey, I want to buy a car. I will buy it from you for 20,000. I'll bring in cash for you tomorrow. Ask yourself why certain people, we look down on certain things, but we're not looking at the units that they're selling. They're walking around in old slippers and old pants and holy jersey.
I was gonna say that, Carol. So like if your product is priced at the lower end, or is an economy brand, let's just say, right? You would have to sell more units to make the target that you want to do, right?
Yeah.
You have a premium product now, and you would have to sell less units. However, to get somebody to spend $5 on a doubles versus $500 on a cake, you understand the disparity between convincing that customer. So your customer base may not be as big as a doubles man, but you have to understand the level of work that goes in to sell a product at that price point.
Exactly.
So you need to know who you're speaking to, how to price your products. If it's only 10 products you need to sell for the month, then that target, it could be harder for you to get 10 customers to spend $5,000. It's hard to get a customer like that, right? But your work is going to be much more. The doubles man just have to put up a sign, have a good doubles, obviously.
Or not, because somebody not good ones.
It have some of them don't have a never long line. Do have a good doubles and never long line. So you have to understand what is that cost structure and what it will really take to get that number of customers to meet that target. And for some, it's easier when you have a big customer base. For others, so you have to really think about that, your product and what it is you're offering, for sure.
So someone is asking if they have to pay tax every year as a startup or a new business once your business is registered. It depends on if you make money. If you made no money this year, you don't have any tax to pay.
Yeah.
That's the important thing of having an accountant. And it doesn't have to be an expensive accountant. There are many accountants out there who service small businesses. What they would do is look at, okay, after they look at what you've made versus your expenses, what is left over? What is left over is what they tax on.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay tax every year. As you grow, and so your profit starts to increase. You all know the rap song, Biggie say, more money, more problems? Right. When you start to make more money, then you get the issues of taxes. You also have to pay PAYE for employees. That employee might be you. You have to pay your health surcharge when the year comes. You have to file annual returns every year. So if you're registered a limited liability company, you have to file your returns, and the returns are just a form you have to fill out. But if you don't fill those out, the penalty is like $300 a month. So 5 years have passed. You've never. So some of us, you registered a company 5 years ago. You never filed an annual return. Go up in companies registry now to do it now. You will see how many thousands you need to pay. So those things to look at. Someone is asking about a reasonable accountant. What you can do, you can reach out to Rachel at Market Movers, because she was telling me she knows somebody who works with smaller, and we will give you that afterwards. But what I want us to do, I want us to talk a bit about setting up yourself personally, taking care of yourself, and I want to invite Karen from PSCU to join us to chat, because we have real questions. We pepper Karen with a set of questions for the week already. Hello, Karen.
Good morning. Hi, good morning, everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
All right, so Rachel said she has real questions for Karen because she wants to join PSCU, and her plan is to join, be a member for a year, and then look to take a loan. So as a self-employed person, what advice would you give to Rachel?
All right, so the requirements for a business owner to open an account would be 2 valid forms of ID, photo ID, a passport size photo, your business registration certificate, your bank statements for at least 6 months, 110 to activate the account, right? If she's looking at saving for a year, which is good, because once you build your savings, you forge that relationship with the credit union. Once you're committed to save, it means that you're committed to pay, right? So once she's saving monthly and she's keeping her records, which is physical in terms of the paperwork, and her bank records to match it back. We use that as her form of income in assessing her for what type of loan we could give her.
Okay, so you mentioned at least 6 months. I know on the website it says 2 years. So if the person is now starting out, or maybe they don't have the full thing, you all do work with them so they can still.
We do work
come
with
in.
them with the 6 months, correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
and I know a main thing is a challenge that people have with being self-employed as well. They want statements where they expect me to get that, the this, that, the other, whatever.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because a lot of the institutions, they will put like the maximum. So they'll say 2 years, 3 years. But if you go in and talk to them, have a conversation, learn the needs,
Conversation, that's
they
correct.
would actually say, okay, well, listen, if you have 6 months, or we could work with you and helping you develop your financials so that, you know, you could get ready. So you could come back in a month and you'll be ready, you have your stuff organized. So don't ever.
Correct, because most persons who starting a business, they don't keep financial records. So whatever cash they make, they utilize it. So they have no record. So when you come in, we advise persons, okay, you can open up your personal account with the credit union because we can't facilitate business accounts. But once your business is registered, you open your business account because you don't want the commingling of the funds, right? Your business fund should be separate from your private account. So we kind of guide you in terms of how to start up the accounts, make sure and pass all the funds through the account, even though you're taking it back out to utilize it for whatever expenses. The most important thing is having the records of the funds that you earn, because that is what most financial, if not all, use to determine whether or not you could repay this loan that you are requesting.
Yeah. So when you get a check or you get a payment, instead of going to spend it in the grocery one time, put it in your
pass it through an account.
leave it there.
Correct.
So at least, yes, you're going to spend the money anyway, but there's proof that you made. And that's why we see it. You all say proof of income. It doesn't say you have to have a bunch of money. It just needs to say there's proof that you make the money. We know you're going to spend it, but let us see. And then what you can do.
Some persons figure, because I have the receipt book, that is the proof. Anybody could purchase a receipt book and make up receipts. That doesn't show that you're actually making that fund, those types of money.
So getting the bank statement is a reliable, knowing that here's what somebody didn't tinker with things to make things look.
Getting your clients to pay you via bank wire or a check, it kind of validates that this money or this income went into the account. But when a client is in cash, sometimes, I know it gets busy, you get this cash and you're out and you would just spend it kind of thing. But try and get your customers, try to get online payments, bank transfer, things like that show, so the money will go straight into the account.
Yeah, so you see people saying, well, this is my bank account number. Send it there. If you get the cash, you have to have the discipline. Go to the ATM and deposit it. With some organizations, they will give you a card, not for withdrawals. If it's a business account, they will just give you a card to deposit your stuff. Someone is asking if PSCU offers business accounts.
No, we can't. Based on the Credit Union Act, the Cooperative Act, we can't. The bank does, however.
Okay, but because for me, what was attractive about the offering is that as a self-employed person, there are things that you need. You're still a person because you're going to have your business expenses. And I think that's where the business account really comes into play for, the loans for the business development and so on. But you are a living, breathing person who you might have children. You might want to get a mortgage. You might need to take a loan to send your daughter or your son to university or to pay for school supplies or to get a laptop for virtual learning. You'll have the medical insurance, so when you're self-employed, you never have a check coming back from an insurance company saying, look, $300 from what you paid at the dentist the other day or whatever. So talk to us about things like the medical insurance, the family indemnity plan, those things, and investment, like how Rachel said, you could send, the company could make a payment. So you have funds.
I'll start with the FIP plan. That's the death benefit plan. We know we don't like to think about that, but once you're born, you will die.
Yeah.
So it's good to plan. Funeral expenses is very costly. So this medical plan assists with funeral expenses. It covers up to 6 persons, you the member, spouse, if any, children up to age 26, because it caters for them when they attain a certain age for them having their own family and wanting to take out their own plan, and parents up to age 76. Right, so once your parents is enrolled in the plan before their 76th birthday, they are covered until death. Right,
Yeah.
they have plans ranging from A to G, which is from 10,000 to 100,000. So each person is covered based on your premium that you're paying. Right, so that's the death benefit. In terms of the medical insurance, it covers major medical, dental, and vision. Right, so depending on the plan you're on, you have from single, you have member plus one, which could be you, a child, or you, a spouse, and then you have the family where you can cover you, spouse, and children. Right, basically you go to your doctor, or you go to do your vision, or you purchase your glasses, you make a claim, so you get back a portion of what you spend.
Right.
Right, so that's how the medical plan works. There's also another insurance for when you're taking loans. So to be specific in terms of the self-employed persons, if for some reason you become ill, it means that there's no one there to run your business, right? And once there's no one there to run the business, it means your income reduced. If that happens, there's this particular insurance. Once you enroll for the loan, it covers your loan payments for you when you are temporarily unable to work, right? That's called the payment protector plan.
Okay.
Right, so we have that for business persons.
I like that. I like that one. The payment. Never knew about it at all.
Yeah.
Cool. So someone is asking if there's coverage for mommy and daddy. Yes, there's coverage for mommy and daddy.
Yes, it covers the parents, but max 2 parents. So you can do a combination. So you can have your mother and your father-in-law, or vice versa, your mother-in-law and father, or your mother and father, or mother-in-law, father-in-law. But max 2 parents. So if should one die, you can't add another one onto the plan.
Okay.
Edison say he join in.
Yes, he said, wow, I'm joining PSCU. I love you all. Someone asked how long they have to wait to make a claim.
Which one of the claims are we referring
Which
to?
claim is that, Lakeisha? Is that for the family indemnity or the payment protector?
Right, so the FIP is through CUNA, right? We partner with CUNA. They have a 48-hour policy, so claims are within 48 hours. Should it extend beyond that, it's because there may have been some issues, and they would communicate that to us for us to communicate it to the member. But it's usually within 48 hours.
Okay, so Lakeisha, usually within 48 hours. So what we hear
One thing I forgot to mention with the claim though, once you enroll in the FIP, there is a 6-month waiting period. So should someone die within that 6 months, CUNA will only cover the claim if it's accidental death.
Okay.
That's the only condition with that particular plan.
So what you have to do is, if you take family indemnity plan, you go, you sit down and talk to mommy and daddy and say, I do that right now, yeah? Do that right now. You need to stay alive for at least 6 months.
At least 6 months.
Depressing to think about death and planning for it or whatever, but it's a real thing. I mean, I know both
it's a real thing.
We lost our dads, and you never think it's gonna happen. Yes, but it happens
to you, yeah.
Knowing
and it just happens.
Yeah, and my mom, she wasn't put in a position where she had to, lose everything just to bury him or whatever. So it's a real thing, and I think being prepared is always, especially during those times, you don't want to be worrying about money on top of that.
Worrying about that, yes.
Exactly, yeah.
Edson telling on his mommy age in the chat room here.
Oh,
Your lucky mommy is not online, Edison. Edison's mommy is 87, right? But no, on the real, I was talking to an old boss of mine the other day, And when I left the organization, I was 29 and I'm 40 this year. So that was a long time ago. And he was saying, and that's my same boss where I left when I decided to go off on my own. And he was like, yeah, he said, well, now you're closer to 50 and 60 is just now. Because when you're 15 years old, he's like, when you're 15, it takes forever to get to 30.
I can wait.
When you hit 30, you know, it's a race to senior to seniorhood. And so I think as entrepreneurs, we have to think about those things. How we taking care of ourselves. Some of us are married, some of us are single, some of us are ready to mingle, some of us it's complicated. But regardless of where you are, I think it's because we get so caught up in the business. Every day you're just caught up with driving revenue, getting clients, fixing things, serving clients, and you end up taking care of everyone else beside yourself.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do have to like earmark a time frame to say, here's what this year I'm gonna say about medical insurance. So I'm gonna take the time, apply for membership. I know I'm not applying for membership to get a loan, right? So Afisha was asking about retirement plans. So we talk about that just now, Karen. Sometimes people just join to get a loan, but there's so much value to me in joining before you could even think about needing a loan, because I know that the longer you're a member with the credit union, the better your rates are. So today you might say, I can't buy a house, but maybe in 5 years, you would have built up your deposits and everything, and you would actually get lower rates because you've been a member for a certain amount of time. Medical, you go, you have a root canal to do. They tell you $3,000. You can put your claim and get back some of the money. And those kind of things, they're just so important. The family indemnity, how you're burying yourself. I saw, this popular pastor, Creflo Dollar. He had a service where he was talking about questions to ask people when you're dating. And it was a bunch of funny questions, but one of the questions was, ask the person, can you afford to bury yourself? Because being able to afford to bury yourself, I mean, it's morbid, right? But it tells you if you have your house in order to a certain point. So somebody like Janae is saying that she has the family indemnity plan. She knows that things are in place for herself, things are in place for her family. And I think as self-employed people, we forget the personal side of our lives. I mean, I do it sometimes. A lot of times, sometimes my mother's the one, Carol, they pay insurance, Carol, they do whatever. And I'm like, Mommy, leave me alone as a big habit.
That's having somebody check in with you. Like, if you know you get caught up and busy, like, I mean, I have a business partner who will do that, but find someone who can just say, okay, tell them, check in with me once a month, make sure that I'm, keeping up to terms and stuff like that, because we know we get busy. But I mean, COVID was a good example. Like, things can change. Like
that. Yes.
We get comfortable and we forget, and I get it. Life is busy, but I mean, we have to be aware, self-aware. And if you know you're not good, if you know you like to procrastinate, I love how people like to claim, I am a procrastinator, and they do it like it's a badge, like a nice badge appeal. Like, how about you try this month saying, I am somebody who's prepared. I am prepared to do certain things. So just switch the dialogue.
Get into bed.
Yeah, start saying things to yourself that are positive. Say, I'm a good saver. If you think you're not a good saver, just start saying it. I'm a good saver. I have a little box I just put all my change in. I started doing that. I didn't even think about it. In a year, I was like, I'm gonna put this in the bank. Yeah. It adds up. So just start saying more positive things to yourself for sure, especially as an entrepreneur. Every day we have customers telling us what's wrong. Oh gosh, I didn't like this. Think this back or whatever.
Yes.
You have to start and find somebody who will give you those positive reinforcements. And I find that when somebody says something positive to me in the earlies, I used to be like, you're blushing and you're like, that's not me. But now when people tell me positive things, I'm like, thank you. Thank you for that compliment. And there's a reason people are telling you that, So the negative things, we listen to it and we take it up front. Yes, okay. But start taking the compliments too. There are a lot of good things about what you're doing. Running a business is very admirable. Being an entrepreneur, I tell people all the time, like, when somebody says I'm a doctor, it's always like this nice feeling, or I'm a lawyer. But being an entrepreneur, we work very hard day or night. We are the most committed, people out here. And I think that's something that's very commendable. And you need to start, giving yourself that props. If not, call Carol and me, we'll compliment you if you want.
Yeah, because Janae is in the chat saying that the same way you have a silent partner in a business, you have an emotional accountability partner. And Edison is saying, so I am not too old and hard to change.
Very good.
You will start using the positive affirmation. So yes, Edison, tomorrow morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say,
Edison
I am
very
safer.
funny and entertaining. I can give you that compliment.
Yeah, but you do end up working a lot and you're so caught up just making it through to the next day that you don't take time. And that's why it's important to, that thing we said earlier on about knowing your worth, not underselling yourself and charging your worth, because sometimes a client might just see the price and say, oh, so much money she making, because when you reach that level, right? But they're not seeing that you're up till 2 a.m. every morning, that you're doing work for them, you're doing additional work. Some of the work you're doing for them, it's free, it's not in your scope of work. And you are...
And my clients to them. So sometimes you don't work for clients and you say, this person works really hard. I doing design for them right now. I helping them with their project and they're so committed. So, I mean.
Yeah, and Edison is saying that some people on work is getting vexed. You got to ignore those people. You focus on your business, focus on your purpose. Because even when you're an entrepreneur, you have people issues to deal with as well. Mm-hmm. But you can't get away. The thing is, when in work, you can get away with your colleague, you can't get away with your client. You can't take a client, you're stripping away, you didn't read that email. You can't do that, right? But you're looking at, how can I take care of myself? What are the things I do? So somebody is saying here that they're looking at making sure that things are taken care of for yourself, that you have the discipline, right? That you're looking at, okay, whether I'm young, whether I'm older, how can I invest in myself? How can I reinvest in myself? Because the point of working for yourself is to have freedom, but you also need to take care of yourself because it is a roller coaster. Life is not always good. When you start going through, COVID is a hard time right now. But even outside of that, there are some months you won't make as much as you made a previous month. And I think that is something that people on the outside don't see. The accounts department or whoever might see an invoice and be like, so much money they're paying her, but they don't know that November and December, you don't have any change to get. So this money is actually lasting you through. And that money is covering 3 months of salary or 2 months of salary.
Right. And as a business, as a self-employed person, if you know your business is seasonal, then you have to plan, because you don't want, January month, you make a certain amount, but you didn't think of February and March being your lows. And that January payment that you got has to compensate for the shortfall for those months that you're not going to make the amount. So those types of things, you have to put aside that reserve to help you for the next 2 months, and then you pick back up in April and so forth. So you have to know the type of business you're in.
Yeah.
How to manage your finances.
And you also have to remember that the better you start to do is the more money you need to put aside. So always remember the rap song, the more money, more problems. You start doing well this year, you're like, oh, that webinar that I was in for PSCU months ago, I had ticked off, I wanted to make $5,000 to $10,000, but this month I made $26,000. And let's say more months start to be like that. That means you're moving from revenue to profit.
Correct.
Once you start to hit profit, it means Colum Imbert is sitting somewhere and rubbing his hands in glee.
Oh, he's right.
You are now.
Give me that money.
Give me that money. Oh, I'm very happy for you, Ansel. I'm very happy for you, Anika. I'm very happy for you, Marsha. You all are doing well. Lovely. Bring your money by me. Which is why you find out what some people do. They keep watch on their cash flow, because if they realize, and this is a trick, right? It's not a trick, it's a legal, honest thing. But if you realize that I'm going to have a lot of money left over in the profits, which is good because that money is to help you for the following year or things that happen. But you realize that a lot of your income is going to go out in taxes. That's why you will see people, that laptop you always wanted, that you thought was too expensive, that is a business expense. So you would decide, I rather buy that laptop and have it for myself than take that laptop money and pay it in taxes. I saw last year 50 Cent bought 3 Lamborghinis or whatever at the end of the year. And people were like, he's so stupid. He has all this money and he wasting money on 3 cars at the end of the year. And he was like, y'all could say I'm stupid, but I would have given that same money to the government in taxes. And this is how you balance. So because the reality is you may really need that laptop.
Yeah.
You mean, in my case, I want a new laptop, right? That is a real legitimate business expense.
A simple thing too, if you're taking pictures for your social media and stuff, and you know your camera, you'd have no storage on your phone. A new phone, yes, it might seem like I'd really needed it making calls, but if getting a new phone can take better pictures and bring more sales, it's an investment towards your business.
Correct.
You know, because all of those things are hidden costs, again, at your clients. Clients don't see the things you're paying for. So if you're a social media person, you may be paying for tools that cost thousands of dollars a year, subscriptions. They don't see that, right? But you know that these things, and again, you keep your receipts. Everybody is different. If you know you're lazy or you're worthless or you're disorganized, some people, like one of my friends, my accountant said, Carol, just get up, because I'm one of those people that I just described there. Carol, just take out this big box and just put all your receipts and invoice and everything in there, because I don't get the time to always file it digitally. But you know that you can go in that box now and organize things. When I have to put things aside and put things across, to file them, to submit to my accountant, I might call my eldest niece, right? Because she can organize things and file things. So you're relying on your village, you're relying on the people around you to help you, because at the back of your mind, you want to always remember that you want to be able to pay yourself eventually. If you can't pay yourself, you want that the company still supports you in some way, whether it's by paying expenses, funding the savings or investment account that you have at the credit union, whether it is, they're paying for certain key things for you, because ultimately you are a person who wants things. You don't want to be feeling as if I'm working so hard and I'm not achieving anything. I can't buy a car. I can't buy a house. You can, but it takes extreme discipline, not just in terms of the work and getting the business, but not forgetting about yourself, because we are reinvesting everything, because we saw that in the chat. We're reinvesting everything in the business, but we're not reinvesting in ourselves, because we are going to get older and we are going to need, and we don't have the pension from the company.
Right. So someone asked in terms of
retirement.
What I tell persons, if the younger you are, take out an annuity.
Yeah.
Right? Because you pay a smaller amount over a longer period. So at the end of it, you get a sizable pension at the end of the month. But for persons who did not plan and they realize, oh, I'm hitting 50 and I don't have a retirement plan. The credit union has a facility for that. It's called the 50 for 60, where you can do a loan. It goes on an investment account for the 10 years. And after the 10 years, you get back earnings on that. So you could utilize that.
And Karen, it's important that it's never too late. It's never too late. So,
and even for y'all have the silver club.
The silver club, right? So the silver club is a group of retirees. What happened once you are part of that club?
When we got silver here.
I have a little bit.
Once you are part of that group, you get lower interest rates, and you get also higher rates on some of the investments, right? But that's for when you are younger, when you are that younger age group, when you're going to from 55 and over.
Okay.
Yeah, so that even for like, it's still, because when you're self-employed, again, you don't have the typical pension to look out for. You will get your NIS because you'll remember you're paying your taxes, you're paying your NIS. You are legally bound to pay your NIS. As long as you have yourself as an employee, listed as an employee, and you're paying yourself that once you're paying that salary, you need to pay the NIS. You know you need to pay health surcharge. So you do those background things. But I like the idea of being supported throughout all of the age groups, because I think that's what I'm hearing from you, Karen, that you get support when you're younger. You have your investments, you have your savings, you have the different loans. But even as you get older, the credit union is there to support you.
Correct.
Because you might go to the bank at 60-something years old to get a loan, and they will say, no, sorry, you're too old. But then the credit union will be like, you're old, but let's look at what's going on, and we'll try to assist you. As long as, of course, you have to have your documentation.
Yes.
Because, it's not a charity. Because, I always see cries, the financial institutions are hard. They don't care about the small man. And it does seem overwhelming. It does seem hard when they ask you for all of these documents, and it kind of upsets you. But at the same time, you also have to acknowledge that if I was lending somebody money, I would want all of these things too. I want to make sure that their house is in order. So,
and to checking in on so when you start the savings, yes, you start or whatever, but every year we kind of revisit, okay, can we put a little more, increase our pay a little more towards that savings? And that was one of the best decisions ever. And my uncle was in insurance, different things. So I got advice all the time. But that revisiting of that premium, you think, okay, remember when you first start paying it, you're like, oh, I'm going to pay this $600 a month, right? And then the year passes and the company paid for it. It was covered. And then at the end of the year now, when you realize, they always check in with you at the end of the year, there's a reason, because they said, listen, for the year you paid the premium, how about we increase it by 25%? And yes, you might be like, oh, they're coming by me for more money or whatever, but no, it's actually more money that goes towards your savings and towards that, situation. So you have to make sure that you revisit your savings as well, check in on it. It's not just something you do and you leave it or whatever. Always think about how you can add value to it. And if your business was able to afford it for the year, why can't they pay a little more the next year? Do you want to grow your business and get better in the following year? So I think that's a really, you have to remember, especially coming to the end of the week, I do check-ins. Every week, I do a check-in of how the week went, what I could do better the following week. The same thing with a month. I look at last month's sales, I compare it to this month's sales, try to figure out why maybe it went up, or what did I do that helped it to go up? What did I do that, or didn't do that helped it go down? And then at the end of the year, I always do a review. I love yearly reviews. I'm obsessed with reviewing things. But I do it, and I get the staff involved. And if your team is small, that's okay. We started with just me and David. So, we would always be, Chad, we made 20% more this month. We got 10 more customers. We're so excited. And we celebrate every time. So if we grow, I get an email every time an order comes in, and I'm always like, yeah, your order came in. And I still to this day, I celebrate, because I'm like, I remember when everybody was like, Trinidadians would never buy food on the internet. And every time I see an order come in, I'm always like, ha, that, yes, I am validating what I'm doing. So that's checking in on your monthly premiums, and again, having that relationship with your banker. You could go in and say, you think I could afford this? You think if I increase it by this, what would that mean? What would my savings look like in 5 years? And it's really exciting to do those things. Well, for me.
Yeah. Someone in the chat is asking if you all have mutual funds. They have the Sapphire and the Emerald accounts, which are safe investments. So you all can visit pscutt.com to learn more about that. Someone else, we have 2 questions here. Someone asked, what is best, preferred shares and ordinary shares? Now, when we talk about shares like credit union, it's not like shares on the stock exchange, right? It's just units of your money, right? Because all of the members come like shareholders in the credit union. So it's not like publicly traded shares. It's shares that you can use as collateral
Correct.
you know, and that kind of thing. Edison was asking where you all are in San Fernando. That's Cocoyea, Naparima, Mayaro Road. And Keston had the question, if I invest capital in my business, so Rachel, listen to this one. If I invest capital in my business, can I repay myself this capital when the business becomes profitable? And if I repay myself, will that have to be taxed? Everything got to be taxed, boy.
I'm not gonna say yes, you have to tax everything, but yes, you could definitely repay that. It will be taxed. What I tend to do is that if it is we invest money in the areas, I would say, okay, the company bought us a new car, you know, whatever I invested, things like that. So there's ways around it, but yes, I would say payback. Most times when we get paid back, David and myself, we would just be like, all right, let's launch a new product now. You know, let's reinvest that money back into the business. And you know, that's how we would look at it. Because when we have, I truly believe in expanding your product portfolio, do that, expand your revenue streams, especially if you have interested customers. So yes, pay yourself back. Because I find like after some time, or using money towards increasing your premium towards a savings for your personal, right? So you can take that money and reinvest it in different ways. But yes, everything is taxed once it's a profit.
Everything is taxed. You're the moment you start to finally grow, that moment you were waiting for, that one moment in your lifetime where you were like, oh, I'm starting to make like real actual money that I can see myself living from. That is when, you know, the tax people, the NIS, this one, people start combining to take some of the money. Now, what some people do, so like I know like some people are working full-time as well. Even if you're a full-time entrepreneur, you may be giving yourself a low salary. The salary, the limit was raised to 72,000, that you can pay yourself up to 72 a year without having to pay tax on a personal side. Because remember, you're always dreaming, right? You reach the point where your organization is making, your business is making good money, so you can pay yourself more than $7,000 a month.
Yeah.
What that now means is that you're going to be paying company tax and personal taxes, which is why what some people do is they keep themselves under the limit. So you might watch somebody and think they're making more money. No, they're paying themselves $5,000 a month, and their friends making plenty more, right? But what they also do is they are the main shareholder in the organization. So at the end of the year, they may pay themselves the shares based on the ownership. So, and we just talking figures, right? I know some of these figures may sound high, but we just pelting on figures. So let's say based on the company earnings this year, you realize, hey, based on my dividends to myself, the same with the credit union pays you dividends, you're paying dividends to yourself. It might be that you're able to pay yourself 50,000. Depending on what type of business it is, you may not want to expand your product portfolio. Some of us, we're just happy with doing what we love, and we just want to do something that, you know, helps us to live. So we don't want world domination, right? But it means that when you pay yourself the dividends, you still have to pay tax on that.
Yeah.
So there are ways, you know, some people might buy, you know, 50 Cent bought himself the Lamborghinis. You might splurge on a laptop that costs 20,000, right? Because it is a legitimate business cost, right? So everybody, depending on your lifestyle, because we want to acknowledge here that all of us are different. All of us have different wants, different desires, different value systems. Rachel might say, here's what I'm doing better this year. I want to buy a house. And she might decide to invest in, let me see how I can start working towards owning a home. Her business partner might say, I want to buy a motorbike, you know, or, you know, he likes to travel.
No
motorbike. Don't put ideas in his head. Or, you know, 3 years from now, when everything is back to normal, you know, you might love to travel. So Marsha helps businesses, but she loves to travel. She could sign up for a conference in Thailand, spend 5 days there, and still get to see Thailand, but it's a business cost.
Yep.
Right? So again, you want to acknowledge that all of us are different. All of us love different things. And so you flex your business to suit, you flex your systems to suit.
Yeah.
All of them, you realize, all of these things are very much legal. They're very much legal. And Marsha's saying, yes. in the comments. They're very much legal, but again, it always comes back to listening to your own voice.
Yeah.
Doing what feels good to you, what brings you happiness. Sometimes the more you grow, people will come and say, do more, do more, do more, do more. And for you, that will take you out of your happy zone. Right? So you have to ask yourself what you are doing. For Rachel and I want to just show Rachel, can I show the chart you had showed me?
Oh yeah, sure.
Right, y'all, I'm just going to share my screen quickly to show you something that Rachel and they do when they are checking out. Right, so you see this chart here? They are keeping track of, how many orders came in that day. It may mean then that one of their business expenses would be the software that they use to track the orders. So that's an expense. It also takes away some of the time she would spend having to physically go through papers and, checking orders and so on. So again, you want to keep track of what you're doing. Some of us, we are not good.
Yeah, and there's software that supports that. So even if you use the Wave and the QuickBooks, there's a little tab that says reports, and it shows you this snapshot of your business. And I love that because I find it just sort of collects everything, all the data, and you can see and monitor and keep track of it because, yes, you might look at the numbers and the numbers could become overwhelming, but I love graphs and charts and you could see, okay, well, why did the business spike this month? And I'm always really curious about that. So
you all, when you have those things to do, those administrative things to do that you find tedious and you don't like to do, you need a friend like Rachel who'll be like, oh, work, let's do it. Let's go through all of these.
No, you should see that. I'm like at work, so we lock off at 12, like orders go out. So we're supposed to start like 12, like around 12:30, 1 till 3, right? And David, oh girl, I'm gonna get my coffee, but he's up early in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So, but you have to know your team and stuff like that. But you have to, yes, you might come across as the annoying one. And I know a lot of, I hope they're not, well, actually some of them listening, but but they may think that I'm annoying because I come in and I'm like, okay, guys, let's go. I'm the one who's like very like driven with that. And even the days when they're not in the mood, I still force them because missing one day, it leads into, okay, we'll do this next week. Okay, we'll deal with that next month. And the biggest mistake, and these are mistakes I made early in my business, not paying my mobile bill on time. And 6 months pass and then you have to go in and pay a 50% deposit so they don't cut your business.
Yeah.
And those things cost you money in the long run. And those are major mistakes I made early in my business. So now I'm just like, I keep people on their toes. I mean, they may not like it, but when a year passes and they see, okay, a packaging redesign just won an award, an international award in Germany. And, everybody on the team was like, oh my God. I said, watch all they're celebrating now. I was like, when I was pushing earlier, they was like, oh God, you have to ruin it. But you have to tie those deliverables. And when you set those targets and dream big, I used to always dream too small. I used to be like, right, me and David could just make a little 5,000 when the month come. And what I realized, 2 years passed and our salary didn't increase because we were just limiting our potential.
Yeah.
So don't hold yourself back, even with the savings, even with joining the credit union and stuff like that. There's no limit. There really is no limit. And you see it all the time on Instagram, social media, some of them are lies, the stories that they tell, but you see how quickly somebody can get the life that they want and celebrate those little wins. The day I moved out of my mother's house, I moved into a terrible small apartment, and I was so excited. I was like, this is a measure of success. My mother was like, you could afford to move out? We would go for dinner and I would pay for dinner and she'd be like, huh? You wasn't just begging me for money like a year ago, So you have to use those measures of success and really celebrate it, but acknowledge it. We tend to not like acknowledge, those wins and things like that. So for sure.
Yeah, you look at all of these things and like I say, y'all, regardless of what stage you are at, Rachel and I are talking to you after having done this for 11 years now. Because I think we started around the same time.
Yeah, you did.
Because I met Rachel back in, I think it was 2010. I was running an online magazine at the time. And I featured her.
It's popular. She featured me.
You know, and for some reason, people thought it was like, oh, we need to be in this magazine. But that's how we met, and that was 11.
Article, don't watch my hair now.
That was 11 years. I watched a photo last night, and I said, I put it up, and then I said, no, and I'm going to do Rachel. I'm not going to put up that hairstyle. But, you know, it's 11 years later, and so that's 11 years of growth. But it doesn't show you, and we still haven't reached where we want to be. And there are still things that we need to improve. Yeah. But the important thing is that every year something changes. You improve something. You start to work out things. I am not good at accounts. You know, I switched degrees at UE because I realized this accounts life was not for me.
Not for you.
Try as I might. But I literally, like, you know what has helped me a lot with the numbers is going back to common sense. You know, so I have one of these things to sell. It costs, you know, $100. If I want to make 10,000, how many do I need to sell? You know, when you break it back down, the same way you teach your child to count, you teach yourself to count the units.
Don't lie to yourself. The numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. And you will grow, you will reach, but in the back of your mind, ask yourself what systems you're setting up. And it's easier to set up a system when you're smaller.
Yes.
Instead of going and take on a project, sometimes we're not getting the business as yet. So we start to make up projects to do. Let me do this, let me do that. So I could say, let me go and do a bunch of free webinars. It makes me feel busy, but is it putting money in my pocket?
It's not.
It isn't. Nothing is wrong with doing a freebie for your folks at a point in time. The freebies I do are for people who have been with me before. So you're continuing to give value to your customer base, right? But you're looking at what systems am I putting in place? Because the reality is, as my old boss said, Carol, you're 40 now, just now you're going to be 60. I have an older brother. He also runs. What's that?
Don't say that now.
It's true. I have an older brother who also runs a business.
And I was like, when did I turn 37? Like, it's just,
Yeah. No, Edison is saying freebies will get you recognized upselling. It doesn't always work. You all know the old saying, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?
Correct.
You all come to this, as much as you all are enjoying this webinar right now. Rachel and I come and wheel around next month and say, oh yeah, webinar, $500 to attend. Yeah, come in. You'll be like, all the best. You know, I hope you all have a great webinar. Right? So you have to balance things. So there's always someone. You know how we say every bread has a cheese? Every ugly man have a nice woman who will like him. It's the same way that there's somebody who is going to support your business, or they will ask for a discount. There are times where psychologically you're offered. So like how Rachel and they gave the special yesterday, I ordered my stuff. I love ordering. There are specific things I order from Market Movers. Their mushrooms are the freshest thing in life. Right? Local, organic, no pesticides. And you really see the difference. I buy a pound of mushrooms and it's much bigger than what I get in the grocery. So I see, put in the code, you don't have to pay $35 delivery. Boom. And one time I ordered frozen mango. I ordered frozen passion fruit. So I'll make a mango pash. And you know it's real fruit that you're using. So in that case, the discount works. I got a discount of $35, but I spent at least $200. You understand? So it all goes back to the pricing. So we're not saying don't ever give a freebie or don't ever give a discount. But you have to ask yourself, am I making on this? Ansel says he may not come to our webinar, Rachel, but you know, he would share it on social media and with others. We feel the love and we appreciate it. Yeah.
To 10 people who are willing to pay those. So.
But if we get 10 people, exactly. Because I had this same thing with a friend this month. Even if you get 10 people who show up for that webinar, that's $5,000. And we all know when we sign up for webinars for free, we don't always show up. But if we pay, we will make it our business to be there. Yeah. So we're looking at all these things, y'all. I don't know if you all realize that, but we are now at the end of the time frame for this webinar, you know. I feel as if Market Movers should send food to all of us.
I was gonna offer everybody who attended a coupon actually, so I will share that after.
Okay, you see, y'all getting something, right? But we've reached the end of the session.
Yeah.
I hope it was useful for everyone. Admin, don't take us off just yet because they're going to get a little special announcement. Oh, Edison says I love you all three of you.
Thank you, Edison.
Edison.
Right? But we've come to the end. Some of y'all are repeat people, so y'all have, yes, somebody said, Jeanette said he forgot the admin. Admin, they love you too, right? But y'all can reach out to Rachel and I. I am putting our IGs in there. I believe that Rachel, is your thing open?
What's that?
You're at the Market Movers.
Yeah, at the Market Movers.
Right. So y'all can reach out to us. And if ever you need advice a month from now, 2 months from now, 5 months from now, you can in fact reach out to us. We will not act like we don't know you. Yeah, we won't act like we don't know you. Just say, hey, this is so-and-so. I was at the PSCU webinar, right? So thanks again for coming through. I'm going to turn it over to Rachel because Rachel has something to tell you all. She just revealed that to me.
What?
What you just sent me something about something?
The coupon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I'll share a coupon with you guys. So you guys could go on the website and you enter in MM25 off and you'll get $25 off on the website. So I share the website. So you can go in, you can get a pound of mushrooms for free with the $25.
Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all are seeing the coupon, right? The code, right?
Yes, we
MM25. That's a O or FF? That's a O or 0?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you go to the website and you could enter the coupon and you can get $25 off your order.
Yeah.
I had a graphic, but like it's not. I can't attach a picture, but yeah. But that coupon code will they could get $25 off.
Okay.
So when you visit the website, you add stuff you want to your cart, and you just enter the code and you get $25 off. So you could try the mushrooms. The minimum order purchase is just $90. So you just have to find $70 worth of things that you you want to get.
You can try the frozen mango.
Yeah.
I love they have the best pineapples in your land. And it just works like Amazon. You make your order, they send you an email, you choose to pay when they come by you, or via bank card, or bank transfer, or credit card, or whatever. And then they send you an email and say, hello, Maria. Your order is prepping to ship out. It will arrive by you between 12 to 6 tomorrow. Is that convenient for you? And Maria will write back and say, I will not be home until 3. And they'll be like, not a problem. We'll send it between 3 and 6. And then Maria will say, by the way, I could get the bananas half, right? And they will say, not a problem, Maria. You know, and you could customize your stuff. Yeah, so you all have everybody got their code. Arlene is not, Rachel, put it back again, please.
Yeah, I can do that.
MM25 off.
Yeah, so you can get $25 off the website. And well, I mean, we have the free delivery still going on today, so you could actually get free delivery as well.
You can get free delivery if you order today. Marsha wants to know how long the code is valid for.
Oh no, that's unlimited. Code is just, you could only use it once.
You can only use it once. Now, this code is for you, eh? Don't go and give it to the marish and the parish, like my mother would say. This is special for you. The name of the website online is themarketmovers.com, right? You want to follow us online now. Follow me on Instagram now.
Yes. And Sean is also saying, so he's our lead designer at Market Movers Design. And what we do packaging. Because we're so passionate about local food, we actually do packaging design for local food brands. So if you have that small business on the side, or you're starting something with food, we help you do your packaging design, we help you get label approvals, we walk you through the whole process of food and drug and that nightmare that could happen.
Yeah.
And then we list you on the website and people can buy your items on our website. So we really try to support local brands. So if you're in local food, message me at the Market Movers and we will get you sorted. I know I kind of did a plan there, sorry.
And for those who came to social media, that was the very first webinar. You all know, you all can holler at me if you need advice or assistance to do it in a way that works. Because I know social media, it's hard even for those of us who are good at it.
It is.
But yeah, you have both of us to reach out to. You all now know Karen. Karen is the branch supervisor at PSCU Arima. So those of you all in the East can go and check Karen. Karen says just wear your mask when you come to check her, please. Remember that No Mask Life. Crayana, you're in Tobago. There's a branch in Tobago as well. I believe it's Milford Road. Just go on the website and you'll find all the information that you need. Edison, yes, Rachel helps with that as well. He has health and beauty and household products. So I know the admin is going to holler at me just now and say, Carol,
so
it is now 10 bucks. We have just now one more question. Leslie's asking, does it sell only food? They have beauty products, but it's mostly food. It's market movers, fruits, veggies, grocery, that kind of thing. You get nice chocolates and stuff. There's a special chocolate on the side too. You can check it out. So
yeah. Carol, is pay yourself.
Pay yourself.
Start paying yourself. Save no matter how small. So call Karen next week and
save Karen, yeah.
Yes.
Set up a savings, even if it's $250 or $300 or whatever a month.
Karen, what is the phone number for the Arima branch?
667-3404 or 0815.
667-3404
or 0815.
And 0815. Rachel, someone is asking if Market Movers delivers in Tobago.
Right now wholesale to like
just wholesale because it's kind of hard for them to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you can always message them, Kriana, you can always message them to see what is possible. So your takeaways before we go. Pay yourself. Save no matter how small. Know your worth. Charge your worth. Don't undersell yourself. Know your banker's name. Do your accounts, people. Have your documentation. Have your statements. So when you go by Karen and she says, well, you don't have any documents, I can't help you, but you say in your webinar, she said in your webinar, I told you to put your money in the bank so you can request your statements. Save for your business as well. So you're saving for yourself, but you also want to ensure that when your business starts to churn money, that you're not just spending out all the money that you're making. Right? It's Karen. So Karen is PSCU. I am Carol. Yeah, so Karen is PSCU. And save for future opportunities. You want to ensure that you take care of yourself, you take care of your business, because being an entrepreneur doesn't make sense if you can't feel happy at any day, or feel taken care of, or feel protected. It's more work because you are now doing the protection for your own self, but it's worth it. Yeah, so I want to thank you all for joining us. You have the resources of reaching out to Rachel, Karen, or I, if need be. So thanks again for spending your Saturday with us. Thanks again there's some of you came to all 4 sessions. Thank you so much for coming. You made me feel, like a star. Like, oh gosh, they didn't get bored. They wanted to see me again. Right? They like me. Right? So thanks again. And remember too that as a member of the credit union, this kind of thing is available throughout the year because PSCU invests in quality workshops for its members to develop you all. Right? So thanks again. You all have a great Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go and get your coupon, even if it's to buy 2 pineapple. Right? You will enjoy it. So again, Edison, you're going to save. Right? Shauna says this has really shifted her thinking about around her personal and her business finances. Right. Sean, thanks for being here. Well, yeah, sure, this Rachel fiance, you know, right? The recorded sessions will be available after. It will go up. They will go up eventually. DCL, I thank you so much for being here with me throughout. And we have Lester Kwesi saying thanks. You know, Anika, thank you, Marsha. Sean is saying now he needs to put his coppers in PSCU. Yeah, so y'all thanks again. Enjoy your day. And when we sign off the webinar, you will immediately be taken to a survey feedback form. It's a short form. You can just fill it out. Yeah. So have a great day. I'm going to tell Candace is saying everything was informative, all 4 sessions. Thanks, Candace, for sticking with us. And so we're going to let the admin know that she can go ahead and sign off. And when it signs off, you're going to go to the survey. So when I say bye, everybody wave.
Run your tune.
We want some tracks. Admin, they want a track. Admin, but you saying, oh yeah, what are they doing? Yeah, so you all enjoy. We are going to click goodbye now. So the screen is going to close.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.